Happy Halloween. I'm Shannon Penrod, the host of Skills Live, and with me is Emily Goodwin. She's the technical director of Skills Live, and we're here today to show you some really easy, healthy recipes that you can make for Halloween with your children. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is make this lovely cauliflower brain. And the ingredients that we need for this, we need some sort of a platter. We need a cauliflower, and we have an organic cauliflower here. Emily, take it away for us.
We have some natural guacamole, some organic salsa, some potato chips, and then some pull-string licorice.
Okay, so those are all the things that we're going to need. Plus, we have a very sharp knife and a spoon. So using the knife and preparing the cauliflower can be something you can do beforehand, before you call the children in, depending on their ages and their skill level. All right, so we're going to pull the leaves off of this and put the pieces away. You can compost them if you do that sort of thing, or just throw them away. You want to remove all of the green. This part might be fun, actually, for the kids. It's a difficult one. I'm just going to slice this part off and pull some more of the green out because there's no green on the brain. But one key thing here is that we want to slice off just the tip here so that it's going to sit flat like a brain. And this is the point where the kids can be really helpful. If you have it already measured, and that's about 1.5 cups of salt, so whatever size platter you're using, and you can have them dump it right on the plate, and that's a pretty enjoyable part of it. Swish it around. Okay, we can put the cauliflower right in the middle of it. And you can see how easy this is. Super duper easy, has big impact if you're doing a Halloween party, but it's also having fun with your veggies, something that we want to do with the kids. And we can take the chips. I'm going to let you do that with the licorice while I throw some chips around the plate. And these, by the way, are organic, oven-fried, no-salt chips. You can use whatever you want, but we want to keep this as healthy as possible. And she's laying those laces around so they look like the veins of the brain that has gone bad. You can see it just takes a couple of minutes and you end up with this lovely, delicious, healthy brain for the children to eat. And it looks good on the table too. Tastes good too, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Right now, what we're gonna make are hot dog mummies. These are really fun. You can see our finished ones over here. We only need a few things for this. We need some hot dogs. Right now we're using organic chicken hot dogs that are fully cooked, which is a wonderful thing. We have some mustard. We have some all-natural crescent dough on a plastic sheet that we can roll it out on. We have our rolling pin. I have a little bit of coconut flour, but you can use any kind of flour that you want. This just smells awesome. And we have a sharp knife. So this is the part of the project that we want to be careful around kids. You could use a duller knife or a plastic knife, or do this part yourself when the kids aren't around. But if you open up your refrigerated dough and you roll it out, just throw a little bit of coconut flour onto it so that it doesn't stick as much to the rolling pin, and roll it out so that you can't see the lines anymore. Oh, it smells good, doesn't it? I love the smell of coconut flour. And it bakes really a wonderful scent too into the whole house. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect, because the great thing about this recipe is that it's very forgiving. If the dough breaks when you're wrapping up the hot dog, it's okay, because the mummy can have lots of different bandages. All right, we're gonna go and just cut through this dough. And they can be different width strips, it doesn't really matter. And you really could do this with a plastic knife. I want to mention too that if you have dietary considerations and you need something to be gluten-free, I did this the other day for my son with a gluten-free pizza crust mix, and it worked the same. I just had to be really careful. I thought that the key to it all was getting the dough really dry while I was rolling it out and cutting it out, and then wetting it before I wrapped it around the dry hot dogs. Okay, so I'm gonna take one hot dog and Emily's gonna take another, and part of the fun of this is that you want to make like a little hat so that there is a place later on to put eyeballs made out of mustard. So you can wrap it around the head, make like a turban for for your mummy, and then start to, and you see it broke. Doesn't matter because it's dough and it can be a separate bandage. It's not a problem. You just wrap it around. The kids love this because they know they're going to get to eat it later on. It's very healthy and a quick dinner that makes it really fun. You just slather it on. And then we're going to bake it for about 12 to 14 minutes at a 350-degree oven. See, easy. He's got a head. Oh, yours is so much prettier than mine. She's Martha Stewart. Okay, so we're going to put that into the oven. We don't need to do anything else. And I put it on some parchment paper so that I don't have to use any kind of spray or oil or anything and add ingredients. We're going to stick it into the oven, and through magic, this is what they look like when they're done. And the other fun element of this is that then you take the mustard and you can give it to the kids for them to put eyes right on, and Emily's going to do that. Awesome. And if you want bloody mummies, you can include ketchup. So, those are big eyes. The other day when I did this with my son, he wanted to put sliced olives on top of the mustard for eyes. But you can see that these are cute, they're tasty, and really healthy. Those are mummy hot dogs. And you can write Happy Halloween in mustard if you're Martha Stewart. Very good.
All right, we're gonna move on to some spooky spider cupcakes. So what you're gonna wanna do is bake a box of regular brand cupcake, or they have gluten-free, sugar-free options as well.
Awesome ones, yes.
Which are great. I pre-made these cupcakes standard. Cupcake rules apply. You'll need some eggs and some oil and water. But we've gone ahead and done that already. So what you wanna do is take some chocolate frosting, and we're gonna frost our cupcake with a thin layer. Doesn't need to be too crazy.
Ooh.
Yes.
Smells good too.
Does smell good. And then we brought some blue sprinkles, and these are naturally colored with vegetable juice, correct?
Vegetable juice, blue.
Which is fantastic. And so these are blue, and then we're gonna just sprinkle the top of our cupcake here.
Awesome.
For eyes, I just got some jelly beans here of different colors. You can use M&Ms or whatever you're more comfortable using. And all you want to do is split your jelly bean in half. So there's your eyeball, Shannon.
Awesome.
I'll have orange eyes on mine. And then you're just going to place them in the front of the cupcake. And then for their little scary legs, we've got some pull and peel Twizzler here, but they also sell natural candy rope, which you can use as well. So then we're just going to pull off our little legs, and the cupcakes are soft enough where you can actually stick the little leg right into it.
And you're just jamming them down?
Just jam them in there.
Alrighty. Ooh, look at that leg.
And this is a good time to teach your kids about bugs and that they have 8 legs.
That's a great thing to add to the lesson. And you know, there's lots of different other things too. Like I have frosting on my hands, and sometimes kids don't like that. It's a flexibility issue. But this is a wonderful way in which to work on those things so that, you know, they can take those skills with them later on. If it's at home and it's a little bit of frosting with you, it's a little bit more reinforcing because it tastes good than if they're on the schoolyard and it's mud and things like that.
And then once you're done, you have your little 8-legged friend.
Mine looks like he needs a haircut, but but they're very fun and they taste good, and the kids will enjoy working on these.
That's right, and they're super cute.
They are. And that's Halloween. Healthy and fast and fun.
Hello. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, but obviously, you know, we are not Shannon and Nancy today. So I'm Adele, and I'm here with...
If I could turn back time.
It's Cher. How fabulous is that? So we're so happy to be here, and I'm just gobsmacked to be here with Cher. And we're just, it's a very big day with Halloween here, and I've got me Grammys here with me, and I've got me girl, and we're just gonna have a good time. We were supposed to have with us Matt Asner, but he's puking.
Okay.
So he can't be with us. And that's just what it is. And we wish him well. Love
you,
to Matt.
Love you,
and
Matt.
hope that, you know.
Too bad he can't be here.
Yeah. Whatever. And no, we wish him well. And we're going to be here and talking about autism.
Yes.
And many fun things, because there was a big event on Sunday last, and it was a denim and diamonds.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about
Diamonds
that.
and stars.
Mm-hmm. So we've got lots to do, but do you want to start with in the news?
Yes, let's start with in the news.
Okay. You've got it.
Okay, we've got, you've heard about these, they now calling it a serial killer.
It's shocking.
I know, it's terrible. In Seminole Heights, Florida. Well, Tampa police identified a recent high school graduate with autism as the third victim of a killer targeting Tampa's Seminole Heights neighborhood. So a young man with autism had taken the wrong bus, and they said that he was just shot point blank.
And I'm going to let go of Adele for a minute, because in all seriousness, we have some very serious news stories.
Yeah.
You know, so frightening and upsetting to this community.
Yes.
And I know I certainly saw some interviews of people who knew this young man, and you
20
know,
years old.
when you think about what our kids go through to get to be able to ride a bus, like all
have
the
a job.
things, and to have a job, you know, all the things that he and his family had to go through
Right.
to get to that point.
Right.
And this, they're saying that they have not yet found a thread for what the reasoning is behind these different
These three
killings.
killings, yeah.
But you know, we're sending our prayers and love down there to Florida, and cautioning people to be careful. I will say too that in response, a lot of people have said that they're carrying guns and gotten their guns out. Everyone be extra careful, because you're going to see people who are going to be a little on edge.
Right,
and when you
right.
give people who are on edge guns, you know, let's not add to this
Right.
tragedy in any way, shape, or
Right.
form. Right, Cher?
I say right on.
Right on. But, you know, tragic about this young man, and we're sending love to that community. Okay, moving on. You know, we're constantly looking for the reasons why more boys are affected by autism than girls. And there are lots of different studies that are being done on this. Well, the CDC is now saying that the disparity continues to climb, with 8-year-old boys afflicted 4 to 5 times more than girls. This is not a shocker to us, but it continues to grow, and that those boys that are you know, on the autism spectrum, they go on to have diagnoses. And here's the thing, it drives the services, right? So the services tend to be mostly towards boys, which for the girls who are on the spectrum, we know from studies that it appears that they tend to be more greatly affected.
Yeah.
So you've got a pocket of girls more greatly affected with no services,
Right.
which is really disappointing. But what is the reason for it? And they're saying that it could be aluminum toxicity.
But I still didn't get from this article why it affects boys more than girls,
Well,
the aluminum toxicity.
You know, and I don't think they know,
Right.
but there have been several studies that they've looked at that there is a cascade effect with hormones,
Right.
and that perhaps aluminum plays a role in that. I will say that aluminum is so much more prevalent in our everyday environment
Yes,
than it
that's what
used
they're
to
saying.
be. And when my son got his first battery of tests, medical tests done after he was diagnosed, he had aluminum toxicity.
Yes.
And I remember saying to the doctor, how is that? How could that be? Because I tend to really be careful about
Yeah,
aluminum.
right.
Alzheimer's runs in my family, and we
Right.
had been told years ago. So when I was pregnant, I wasn't using an aluminum-based deodorant, which I think most people do. I wasn't drinking soda out of aluminum cans, for years before I was pregnant. So I was trying to be very careful, and I said to the doctor, how could that possibly be? And he's like, how close do you live to a freeway? That's going to spew aluminum. How close do you live to some place where they cremate individuals, because that spews aluminum?
Wow.
He's like, what kind of industrial parks do you live? Like, it's everywhere.
Right.
So frightening. But I know we talk about this a lot on the show, that if you're somebody who's thinking about getting pregnant and you want to reduce your risks of all kinds of things, we really recommend there's a protocol that is very individually specific. It sounds like protocol, well, it's a, first do A, then do B, but it's really individual specific. And you can find out more about that by visiting with Dr. David Berger in Florida. And he can tell you how to lessen your aluminum toxicity. There's the word that I want. I'm just borrowing these teeth.
The chlorine used to bleach flour may contain up to one, whatever the measurement is, inorganic mercury. So we have to watch the chlorine for flour.
Well, and, there again, I mean, like, there are so many different ways that these environmental things can pop up into your, and be present in your life.
Right.
If any individual in the world can go and get tested, it could be something from your childhood. I loved, years ago, I got to go see Ken Cook speak at a TACA conference, and they just had their TACA conference this last weekend. And we're hoping that went really well. I know Aaron Brockovich was there, but I went years ago when Ken Cook was there. And he is the head of the environmental working group that when we talked to you guys about the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, that's his organization that puts that out. And he does a presentation, and it's a number, it's like 9 Americans is the name of it. Something, I don't know what the number is, but he shows you 9 Americans' blood, and he goes through and shows you all the things that are in the blood and all the toxicity, and you just feel something choking you. And he's not going to appreciate me giving this away, but at the end he says, who do you think these people are? Like, and everybody's like, I think they work in a tire factory in the pit where they're burning things, because they're so toxic, and they're newborn babies. And some of the things that they have in their blood have been outlawed 40 years ago.
Wow.
But it genetically continues on,
right?
Things
in utero.
Well, and imagine, so, a mom in 1937, she's carrying eggs around.
Right.
And she has a baby with those eggs, and then that baby years later has, because my mother was born in 37.
Right.
But the eggs that were in her were made by her grandmother, her mother. So the eggs that were in my mother that made me were minted in like 1922.
Wow.
So, it's important that we minimize what we're being exposed to now, but you're never going to be able to completely eliminate until we change the way we do things. And even for us, it won't make a difference. It will make a difference for generations to come. In any case, interesting study. You can read more about it in Scientific America, about aluminum and heavy metals and what role that might play in why it's more boys. And then, we tomorrow on the show, I want to say that we're going to have Joanne Lara come on to talk specifically about our next story. So, because it's so in depth, and I wanted somebody who's got some expertise to come in and talk about it. But I'm talking about the Betsy DeVos rescinding 72 documents in the education.gov that a large number of them had to do with special education. If you are not up in arms about this, let me encourage you to get up in arms. That what is being said, I know that President Trump ran on a platform that for every thing that he put forward, any regulation that he put forward, they were going to get rid of 2.
They were going to repeal.
Yes, because there was too much government and there were too many, and this one crosses this one, and redundancies and things like that. And it is being said by the Department of Education, by Betsy DeVos's folks, that's what is happening here.
And 72 documents that laid out the rights of students with disabilities.
Right, and the phrase that her office put out was that they were superfluous.
Yes.
Superfluous, but
due to being outdated, unnecessary, and ineffective.
Right, and so I'd like to know. And we're going to have Joanne on to talk about this tomorrow, Joanne Laura from Autism Works Now. I want to know the one that outlined for a parent how to better access their rights for their child at an IEP meeting. Which one was that? Was that superfluous? Was it redundant? Was it unnecessary? Which one of those was it? Because, her opinion of special education, as we have seen, differs from many other people.
Yes.
Let's say that. So I want to know which one that was. And by the way, the one where it was telling schools how they could spend their money, how is that? Because one of the things that she did was rescinded the paper that said you can't take special education money and just go use it on the football team. That's what one of those things was. So which one was that? Was that redundant? Was that superfluous? What was the other word that she said they were?
Ineffective.
Ineffective. So which one was that, Betsy? And here's what I'll say. If Betsy DeVos wants to come on here and explain it, I will give her time. I absolutely will give her time because I want to understand what this means and why she did this. I think that sometimes we get too wordy with things and we pile things on. And I've done a little bit of work looking at some of the things that are .gov, ed.gov. That's what I want to say. And it's wordy. There's a lot of wordy stuff. But this is your first pass saying, we don't need to put documents out that tell parents
how they can advocate for their children.
Okay, Betsy. That's your opinion. No, I don't think so. So I want to encourage everybody that we're going to be taking a deep dive into that tomorrow with Joanne Laura. And hopefully then we're going to be giving you some ideas and addresses of where you can write to say, I don't think so.
Right.
Anyway, so that's our news. As I said to you earlier, our intent was to have Mr. Matt Asner here with us to talk about some of the stuff that he had going on, but he's under the weather.
Okay.
And so he's not going to be here. But Nancy and I had promised you last week that we would really talk about Denim and Diamonds and give you all the dish from behind the scenes. This wonderful, wonderful event that benefited Autism Care and Treatment Today. So maybe we can talk a little bit about, what happens. And how, because right now they're in a grant phase and accepting grants, and we'll give you some information about that as well. Right. So we're going to take a break. Stick with us. We'll be back with more Adele and Cher.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. For this month, I figured we're going to do a super special portrait that is in the theme of October, which means spooky eyes that follow you as you walk around. In this activity, you and your child are going to work on emotions and socio-dramatic play. So let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are a camera, a ping pong ball, X-Acto blade, tape, and a marker. And if your kids are up to it, props and costumes. Now let's take some photos. It's a great time to work on emotions and socio-dramatic play. Let's get our props.
See all the colors in the sky tonight. It's time to let the sunshine hide.
Once you finish your photo shoot with your child, select one of the photos and print it out on a large piece of paper. Now that you've selected your photo, you're going to take an X-Acto blade and just cut out the eyes from it. This part of the activity is definitely only for the adults. Now that you've finished cutting out the eyes, what we're going to do next is take a ping pong ball and cut it in half. You'll see why in just a moment. So with the ping pong balls, we're going to create the illusion of the following eyes. So what you're going to do is take a marker and you're going to make a dot in the very, very center. You're going to want to make it like the same size of what the iris was in the photo. Now that the ping pong balls are done, I'm just going to tape them to the back of the photograph. So does it look like she's following you? Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity for Smarty.
Until next time, craft on, guys.
Can you see me flying by your side?
If you're watching Autism Live, chances are you care about the life of someone, or perhaps many people, living with autism. You spend countless hours trying to make a better life for them. It may not have been easy for you to watch the show today. You know, sometimes you could be juggling so many balls in the air, you feel like a circus performer. I remember recently saying to a friend that as the mother of a son with autism, plus all the other challenges in my life, I feel like I'm carrying a tray full of glasses of water, and that if one of them topples over, the whole thing is going to go crashing down. This empowerment moment is all about you. Now, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, but over the last 9 years in my autism journey, I've learned some things that have helped me shift from being a victim to having hope. See, I've been in that place, down on the kitchen floor, on my knees, praying for answers of what happened to my child. I've been in that place, covered with blood and tears, after one of Wyatt's giant tantrums, where I said, "Where has my fairy tale life gone?" I have a feeling you're a member of that kitchen floor club too. It's been a process, but I've come from that place of being a victim to becoming an advocate for my son Wyatt and for many others as the executive director of ACT Today, or Autism Care and Treatment Today. Let's start with reframing the way you think about yourself and your child. I want you to say after me, "I'm an activist." That's right. I'm an activist, because just by watching this program, you are taking positive steps to make the world a better place for your child or someone else living with autism. You are a positive force of action in the world. I want you to start thinking of your so-called disability as an opportunity, because it's within our challenges that our greatness is revealed. That's where we find our courage and resiliency. And parenting a child with autism is one of the greatest challenges a parent can face. You have the choice to see this as a journey of self-discovery. Some people take expeditions to climb Mount Everest to see what they're made of. You don't have to travel that far, because parenting a child with autism is an expedition of the soul. Until next time, stay strong and keep the faith.
Back. Or as I was saying before, hello. It is Halloween day here, so
Yes,
I'm
right.
Adele.
And the only thing I can do is if I could turn back time.
The wig is amazing too. So I'm Adele, and I'm here with
I'm
Cher,
Cher.
and we're having a gay old time.
We are. We're
and
just celebrating our fabulousness.
That's
and
right.
Our Grammys.
Always,
You brought all your Grammys.
Yes, I brought my me Grammys, but I said I was going for Adele, and I look more like Rebel Wilson's grandmom. That's what I've arrived at, and I've got my false eyelashes on. But anyway, we were at a wonderful event on Sunday.
Denim, Diamonds, and Stars for Autism.
Yes, all of which was to benefit Autism Care and Treatment Today, which you know a little bit about, which we both know a little bit about. But I promised, because we were on the red carpet, and if people want to watch, we did 2 solid hours live, no edits on the red carpet. Lots of stars, especially lots of young people.
Young stars that some of them I'm not that familiar with, but apparently very
very
popular.
up and coming, very
Yes.
popular. I mean, there were kids on the red carpet from the show Fresh Off the Boat.
Mm-hmm.
There were the girl who does the Doc McStuffins voice was there.
Yes.
There was the boy who plays the son on American Mom, who's hilarious.
And then what's that show, Ricky
Ricky, Ticky,
I don't know. I can't
and
remember.
Dawn. Ricky,
Yeah.
Ricky, Dicky, something, and
They
Dawn.
were there.
They were all there. We had kids from School of Rock that were
Right.
there. I mean, it was really, I thought, very refreshing that so many young people wanted to come out. And, you know, sometimes you could make the case and go, well, it's publicity and stuff,
Yes.
but that really, you know, on a Sunday night,
No, it's
I just don't think that that's why they were there.
no, they were there to support the cause. And you could
Exactly.
tell they were. And they
And-
were passionate. We also had
and they had
a lot of
friends.
reality stars there. We had
Yes.
Brandy Glanville from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yes.
She was working it, man.
You know, I mean, there, like, I don't know how much tape was involved. Let me just say, let me make this gesture and say there must have been tape involved.
There was some major cleavage going on that red carpet everywhere.
There was at one point when Brandy was on the red carpet with, Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
And you were there, and I think it was Kimberly Herbert Gregory, and it was just this stunning, beautiful women. It was really, really, and the doctor the skin doctor who was awarded, I can't think what her
Dr.
name is.
Anna Guanche.
She also was tall and gorgeous and beautiful,
Yes.
and
wearing a very skimpy outfit.
and you guys were and you looked like a Barbie doll. You looked absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
I was wearing exactly this because this was my, what I was planning on wearing today, and then what I was going to wear. I could not leave the house. I was like, no, I look ridiculous. So I was like, I'm putting the Adele thing on. So it was exactly this, and
you looked great.
whatever. Well, it's not about me, and I know that. Look, there's a fabulous picture. Oh,
There's
Lisa
Lisa
Gibbons
Gibbons.
was the other one that I was trying to think of. That just you guys were stunning.
With Olivia Newton-John and myself.
And look at the color array there. Talk about looking fabulous on the red carpet. Lisa was in hot pink. Olivia Newton-John was in black, and you were wearing stunning crimson. It was just you were gorgeous.
Well, and there's Kimberly Herbert Gregory,
Yes,
who received an activist award.
and she's talking with our friend BJ at Shout Out for a Cause, who I adore. And Kimberly, for those, I had a lovely talk with her on the red carpet, and that eventually I want to take that, Samantha, and cut that and put that.
She's quite the warrior mom.
She's amazing. I mean, I love her.
She's an MSW.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, for those of you who don't know her, first of all, she is a stage actress with credits, like crazy credits on stage. And then she started getting film and TV work.
Right.
And on the show Vice Principals on the first season, she was the principal. My phone's making all kinds of noises. So she, there's the two guys that fight for the role of vice principal, but she was the principal. And she's kind of known for playing tough women who put up with no nonsense from men, right? But this season, she is starring along Jason Ritter on my favorite new show.
And that is
It
the
is
world
Kevin. Kevin probably saves the world.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys. And I talked about this last week before this, but I just want to say that, I watched the pilot and I was intrigued enough from the pilot that I wanted to watch the next one.
Right.
But I wasn't entirely sure from the pilot because I was like, there's a lot going on there and I don't really see where this is going. And I liked it. I love Jason Ritter. I love Kimberly. The acting was fabulous. The girl who plays the sister was wonderful, and the niece is wonderful. But I was like, I don't know if I get it. And I said something to my husband. I said, you got to watch this show. And he said, I'm not really into sitcoms, honey. And I said, oh, are you under the impression that this is a sitcom? This is not a sitcom. This is, this is like, there's funny parts to it, but serious as a heart attack.
Right.
1 hour. And he was like, oh, I had no idea watching the commercial. He said, I thought it was a sitcom. I don't know why I thought that. But it is life-changing.
Really?
It is. I said to her on the red carpet, and I meant this, and I said this last week too, it has changed the way I look at things in my daily life.
And why is that?
So the character Jason Ritter is playing is a guy who has had some hardship, as has his sister, and to the point where he allegedly tried to take his life.
Okay.
Which is as serious as it gets,
Yes,
right?
of course.
And he just was at a point where he wasn't seeing how it all works or why it works or why he was here, I guess. And he has come home to where he grew up to live with his sister and his niece. And about a year and a half before, you hear that the sister had married her high school sweetheart, that they'd all been friends together, and he had died in a car accident. So she's now a widow and raising her teenage daughter, and her teenage daughter appears to be a little shut down. And so you're like, okay, there's a lot going on right there, right? But all these meteors strike the earth, and one strikes close to the sister's house, so he and the niece go to look at it, and there's a fuzzy thing. I'm not going to give away too much, but the next day, Kimberly or Gregory is in his house, and no one can see her but him.
Oh, I see.
And then there's much more than that I don't want to give entirely away, but she says to him, you have a mission. There's something that you have to do, and the entire world is counting on you. And he's like, well, thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
I'd rather not. I'm not in a good place right now.
Right.
So could you, and he thinks he's crazy. But things happen, and everything that happens, he's new. So he experiences things without a filter.
Okay.
So at one point, he's standing outside and yelling at her, and he's like, I'm not doing this, and this is not, and Kimberly is fabulous on the show. And it starts to rain, and he's yelling at her, and the rain is falling on him, and he goes, oh my gosh, it's raining. And he has a moment where he experiences rain without having to think about bills to pay.
Right. The beauty, the joy of rain.
And I'm getting chills even now thinking of it, because I found myself crying at one point watching Jason Ritter experience the beauty of and life. It happens like every 10 minutes on the show, something happens, and he is like, oh my gosh, just like, whoa, that felt like, is it supposed to feel like that? And I don't know how you could not, it just really has made me go, things are moving too fast.
Yes.
And that we talk all the time on Thursdays about mindfulness, and this show and him experiencing mindfulness, sometimes against his will, but having it just like forced upon him, so it literally makes him stop, is just now Siri thinks that I'm talking to her. Turn off the phone. Siri just was like, what can I search for you? So
well, I'll have to catch that. I mean, I'm sure Kimberly's fabulous in it. She has so much more to her than you would even know, because I didn't realize that she had an MSW, but she sends out a group of emails to a bunch of autism moms on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And her son Chester is doing so well. He volunteered.
Met him the other night.
Yes.
What a sweetheart he is.
He's doing really great.
And just turned 18, she said.
Yes, and her speech about him was, there wasn't a dry eye in the house of what a gift he's been to her.
What an amazing, amazing woman. And so, first of all, I want to say, watch the show, because it's worthwhile to you to watch the show and see, and there's a whole mythology mystery that goes along with it, so there's lots to see in the show. But if for nothing else, support her.
Right.
She's an autism mom.
Right.
Support her in this show, and I think you'll find that it's way, way worth it for you. But Kimberly's awesome, so talk up her show and support her.
So she was an activist award winner.
Yeah.
Along with Olivia Newton-John, who is another just remarkable woman. I mean, look at what she's going. She's going through cancer treatment right now, and she's out there doing stuff for Act Today and other charities and other nonprofits. And Lisa gave her award and spoke so eloquently about her.
Yes.
And how she walked the Great Wall of China with her, and that every day Olivia would get the group of women together that were walking the wall and have them sing her song Magic. Got to believe this is magic. So she doesn't take a moment of life for granted.
And how amazing. I mean, when she was on the red carpet, I try to be respectful of when you know that people have going stuff on, not going for the jugular, and I was aware of, the lights are warm on the red carpet, and we were towards the end of the red carpet, and I had said, we're gonna talk to Olivia, but we're not gonna keep her,
Right.
because she's been on her feet enough. Like,
Right.
let's just appreciate that she's here. And when she got to us, one of the things I said to her, I said, it just means so much to us that everybody knows you've got other stuff going on, that you got your own bag of hammers, and the fact that you came out tonight to be here
Yeah.
to make sure that awareness got onto our kids.
She
Just
didn't hesitate about
so
coming.
remarkable. And she said, well, I'm here to support those kids, and I'm here to support Nancy.
Oh, she's amazing.
And she said,
I was so flattered by that.
she said, I was at Nancy's first ever Denim and Diamonds,
Yes, she was.
back when it was more denim than diamonds.
Right.
And she said, of course I would come out to support Nancy. But we promised we were going to tell you a little bit about things that happened after the scene. There were a lot of people that kept calling her back to the red carpet and, can you take a picture with this person? Can you do this? And she was so gracious. And everybody was saying to everybody, okay, but let's not tire her out, let's let her enjoy the night. And then it was, well, just take one more picture. So after everything was over, and I'm going to tell tales here, we were packing stuff up, and one of the other people on the red carpet that was one of the reporters said to me, so did you get to talk to Olivia? And I said, yes, I did. It was lovely. She was divine. It was fabulous. And one of the other reporters came up and said, well, and I was like, what you talking about? And she said, well, she shut me down. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, well, did you ask her about, anything to do with her cancer? And I was like, well, no. What I said to her was, thank you for being here. I know you have other stuff going on. I know, bag of hammers thing. And she goes, well, I said to her, can we get a health update? And she said, everything's going great. And she said, so then I followed up with, well, so what have you changed? And have you changed your diet? And have you, and that Olivia Newton-John said to her, I would rather focus on the cause tonight.
Right.
I would rather, that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
And that the reporter said to her, well, that's not what I'm here for.
You're kidding.
No. And I thought, and I was like, oh, okay. And I walked away from her because I thought, you apparently are the only one. And she was miffed and thought that Olivia Newton-John was inappropriate and did not.
Unbelievable.
And if my son hadn't been there, I think I would have gone up one side of her and down the other. But it just reminds me how people, you're at an autism event and you just stood there in front of other people and said, but that's not what I was here for.
I was about the cancer.
I was here to hear about Olivia Newton-John's cancer. There isn't a sign big enough that says nasty words for how I felt about that. Anyway.
We had some other great people that were award winners.
Yes.
Shervin Rupavar from Shahs of Sunset.
Yes.
Who was really eloquent and was so educated about autism.
I did not get to interview him because there was a crush right when he came through, so I did not get to. But I've interviewed him before.
Right.
He's been at the event before.
Right. That's a reality show on Bravo,
Yes.
Shahs of Sunset.
Yeah.
And he's really an entrepreneur and actor and spoke so eloquently about the cause, as I said. And his mother, who actually worked in the field of autism, she received an award as well. She wasn't able to make it that night, but he spoke for her.
How wonderful.
And that was wonderful.
How really wonderful. Well, it was a beautiful, beautiful night, a fabulous dinner. The red carpet was incredible. You guys did a really great job. I know
Thank
you're
you.
still figuring out, what monies came in, but that I hope it was a record breaker. I'm just going to say that. And truly, truly lovely. I had a lot of things going on that weren't happening in the ballroom, so I missed a lot of things, but I heard really good things and that it was emotional. And I met some wonderful folks on the red carpet. And the kids, I said to them, please come back every year.
Yeah.
We love to watch you grow up on the red carpet.
Right.
That's certainly what happened with Brianna Yeedy, that she grew up on that red carpet. And it means so much to our kids.
It does.
It really, really does. Really remarkable. It was a fun time. Did you have a good time, or is it too stressful for you to have a good time?
I had a good time. Yeah, I really did. It's a little stressful, the adrenaline's going a bit, but I had a great time.
Awesome.
And I was so touched by all the wonderful words and the support.
Yeah, really, really wonderful. And some great performances. The young man who was one of the finalists
On boy band.
on
Jaden.
boy band, Jade. And did you watch the boy band at all?
I watched a little bit of it.
I remember being so bummed when he was eliminated, and I
Yeah.
told him that. I thought he got ripped off, but of course he's like, it's all good. One of the guys on the panel
Right.
is signing him anyway,
Right.
so he's going to get signed as a solo artist.
He
It's
was
probably better
amazing.
for him. True, and he's saying Skyscraper, right?
Yes.
And Sabrina, she was stunning on the red carpet, blonde and beautiful, and in
She
white.
sang,
And she
right?
sang during the
Cocktail reception.
yeah. Really remarkable. So nice when
And we had a lot of
Talented
the
people.
volunteers there were kids with autism, older kids with autism that helped.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
Dana
'Cause-
Thiero spoke.
Yes. Oh,
We all know Dana.
I did see that, and that choked me up and
Yeah,
made me cry.
I don't know whether I look like Cher or Lord from England. That, one of those
I'd
judges.
take either one. As I said, I look like Rebel Wilson's grandmother, so I would take either one.
Yeah,
if
if
I
any of
were
you are just tuning in, I am Cher.
And I'm Adele, and we're here with Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I just love doing accents.
I know you're good at them too.
Well, I don't know about that.
Your old theater background.
Well, but in any case, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, I wanted to talk about a performance that my family went to see on Saturday night that was also very interesting and eye-opening and life-changing. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back more we're going to have an advert. That's what we're
Advert.
an advert.
Okay.
And then we'll come back more with
Okay.
Shannon and Nancy.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Johansson, and this is My Little House.
My Little House is an interactive, multi-sensory educational felt toy that I invented to help develop children's language skills.
I love My Little House.
I've been working as a speech therapist for over 20 years. I have spent my entire career working with young children. I work with children with language delays, and I have many children with significant cognitive disabilities and children on the autism spectrum. It has been a constant challenge finding toys that are fun, educational, and actually engage my students. In every preschool since I've been a young therapist, we carry on these felt boards. Kids love them because they're soft and they're fluffy, and there's usually these little pieces that attach to these boards because felt sticks onto felt. You bring them into the activity because they're putting a piece on the board. So it's almost kind of like magic. So then I just thought, wouldn't it be great if I could just take this one-dimensional board and make it into an actual three-dimensional toy? How cool would that be?
That's the idea behind My Little House. You can spread it out flat like a 4-panel felt board, or here's the cool part. In the blink of an eye, My Little House easily converts into a 3-dimensional reversible house.
This is the outside. This is the inside.
My Little House comes with 36 felt cutout pieces that match outlines in 8 colorful rooms. And they're felt, so they stick. Each piece inside My Little House has been placed with purpose.
For instance, in the kitchen, whole half, under on top, inside, big, bigger, and biggest, empty and full, circle, triangle, inside, outside.
Really cool thing, I have a nonprofit, Lecotech. They are the folks that put out the Differently Abled Guide for Toys R Us. They've been doing it for 25 years. They gave me their seal of approval as a toy that they feel is a toy with purpose, and that will make a difference. But My Little House isn't just for kids on the spectrum or with significant disorders. It's also for typically developing 2 to 5-year-olds. It's a fun toy.
Oh, this is so soft. That piece goes.
Recently, I took My Little House to the American Speech and Hearing Association convention in Philadelphia, and the response from my peers was overwhelming. Hundreds of therapists, teachers, and heads of school districts wanted to order them.
It was real validation for me that this truly is a toy that needs to get out there.
Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod. I'm a proud autism mom. I'm a former educator, and I am the host of Autism Live. And as all three of those things, I want to recommend to you My Little House. This is one of the smartest toys I have ever seen for teaching language to kids who have emerging language. Whether they're on the autism spectrum or completely neurotypical, it's a great, fun, reinforcing toy, but it's especially great for our kids that are on the autism spectrum because it makes learning fun and it makes it tactile. They have these felt shapes and they get to match them up. And I'm telling you, even the adults love to play with this. We loved this toy so much that we wanted to be able to bring it to you at a great discount. So right now, if you will go to www.smartfelttoys, and when you get to the coupon code, put in a-live.com, you'll get $5 off. Isn't that great? So I want to encourage you, go and get My Little House for all the kiddos in your life.
And we're back with Cher.
Hello, it's Adele.
Adele, if I could turn back time.
So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to talk about, I'm trying to scroll down here, I'll stop. On Saturday night, my husband, who made these lovely Grammys too, by the way.
The props are great. I got to give it to him.
I got me Grammys.
These Grammys, what did he make them out of?
So these are wine glasses and Kleenex
Unbelievable.
boxes. So he started on it last night at like 11 o'clock.
Unbelievable.
Kudos
to him.
I said I didn't, well, my husband's really good at props. And I said
I'll say.
I was like, I really need, because people are going to, just think I'm weird.
A blonde.
I said, you guys, I need the props to make it. And he said, I'll go to Walmart right now. And I was like, it's almost 11 o'clock. And he was like, honey, let me do this for you.
How nice.
And he did. It was wonderful. And I'm lucky like that.
You are.
But, and the other thing that he did was he saw that I had noticed online the last couple of weeks, there's a very special production of Our Town that is playing right now at the Pasadena Playhouse here in Los Angeles, which is California's oldest organized theater.
Right.
And it's a beautiful complex. Have you ever been to see something there? It really,
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's just lovely. It's a really old theater, and it just really warms my heart.
And what's special about this performance?
So this particular production of Our Town is being co-done with Deaf Theater West. So I would guess that half the cast is non-hearing, and they're known for doing productions that are just absolutely amazing. And I love, for me, the theater is, it's a part of who my husband and I are. We both have degrees in theater, and we've been taking our son on the spectrum to theater since he was a baby because we want him to be good. I used to teach college theater, and I was always trying to teach all my students, like all the frat boys and all the sorority sisters, to be good, if nothing else, be good audience member, right? And be informed audience member. So I love nothing better than going to live theater with my son. And I've taught him that we sit, and sometimes, he gets frustrated with me, but we talk a little bit about the play beforehand so that he has an expectation of what he's seeing and what's unique about it and what the convention is, which when he was little, he didn't know what that meant, but now he does, that there's some way that they're going to tell the story that's going to be different and interesting and not a movie, not television, right? And then we go in and we get the program, and we always like to get there early to read through the program to see if there's directorial notes and things like that. And I had prepared him for the fact that this play was going to have people in it. It was not going to be your typical play, that there were going to be people who were going to be signing, which we've seen shows with that before. We went to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame last year. A friend of mine, Glenn Cassell, directed it. And the lead actor who played the Hunchback was deaf. And so he signed, and other people signed, and other people sang for him. So my son had already seen this, and there was another production that we had seen where there'd been an interpreter, right? So he was a little bit prepared for it. But we had a discussion, for those of you who are theater buffs, we had a discussion beforehand, because you get there, and Our Town is done very minimally.
Yeah.
There were 2 ladders that were on stage, and the ghost light was on stage, and we were talking about what that is, and And he already knew, and he's like, Mom, I know, you know. But then we got into a discussion of Brechtian theater and Wagner and the whole idea of willing suspension of disbelief. And we had like a little theater class right there. And I said, so which one do you think this is? Is going to be more like Wagner and the willing suspension of disbelief and the chasm? Or is this going to be more Brechtian? And he's like, this is looking Brechtian to me, Mom. And that, you know, he's 14 and he's using words
That's
like
amazing.
but you know, but we've been priming this pump for a long time. And Dad was talking about Brecht that he'd done, and you know, so we're having a lovely time. And it was one of the things with Brecht, that Brecht had this idea that no one should ever get comfortable in a theater, and he didn't want you to tune out and be taken away to another land. He wanted you to be present and to realize that you were watching a play and that it had the ability to affect you. And boy, they took this to the nth degree, because they didn't just decide, okay, one person will speak and another person will sign. They kept changing it on you constantly. So Jane Kasmerick played the central stage manager, but she would come forward and sometimes she would speak and there would be different people who would sign her part for her. But sometimes it was them signing that was driving the bus and she would just interpret for them. And that would change who was going to do that. And then other times Jane would sign. Like you had to be willing to communicate on all levels. And that how you were communicated with changed constantly. And I will say to you that it was beautiful. It was exciting. It wasn't easy. But everyone was with them, including my 14-year-old on the spectrum was with them. Standing ovation. There wasn't a dry eye in the house when it was all over and said and done with. And it really, when we read what both the director from Pasadena Playhouse said in the program, and we read what the director from Deaf Theater West said, one of the things I loved what the Deaf Theater West person said. I did not love what the person from Pasadena Playhouse said. But the person from Deaf Theater West said, when we were doing this, we really thought of, in New England, back at the turn of the last century, there were 2 or 3 communities that had such a high prevalence of deaf individuals that the entire community learned how to sign. And that anybody that was a stranger who came into town immediately would learn how to sign, because that's how they communicated as a community. And he said, we really tried to delve into what are all the ways that you can communicate. And it made me want to learn sign language. I mean, I keep doing things with my hands, and I hope that's not offensive to people. I don't mean to be, but it was beautiful. And you found yourself, both my husband and I said this, that we found ourselves sometimes focusing more on the sign language than what was being said. Like that was the focus. And what a powerful thing that was.
That is.
And it made me think about not just, we focus a lot on communication with our kids, and that is not the only difference in communication. For the deaf community, it's that much more different. And I'm wondering how many other ways of communicating I don't know about. It was amazing. And the young girl, the thing that I didn't like that the Pasadena Playhouse guy said was, he made a comment about how this is a play about a young man's coming of age and the loss that he experiences. And I was like, what play did you read? Like, honestly, I'm appalled that that's what he got out of that play.
Really?
Yeah. For people who know the play, first of all, the central character is the young woman.
Yeah, it's a young woman.
And it's not about him. And so everything in me revolted at this depiction. I literally, it makes me break out in hives. So I was not thrilled about that. But I loved the girl who played Emily, is a deaf young woman, and she spoke 2 words in the play. But both she and the actress who spoke for her, breathtaking. And always, I said to my son afterwards, I said, you know what I love about going to see good theater is that you always see someone on stage that it's their everything.
Yeah.
That they are giving it all,
Right.
and you feel like you're in the presence of something bigger, something that came from outside of them. And there was one gentleman who was in the play, who was part of the Deaf Theater West community, and I, there is a part of me that goes, thank goodness that they have done this, created a theater and created a place for such beautiful talent, and it is well past time that the entire world sees. And he's a gentleman who is not a spring chicken,
Right.
But I wish I were. Years ago, I was a SAG franchised agent. I'd like to be an agent again. I would sign him in a minute. What talent. I want to write him a letter. What a wonderful thing. I've gone on way too long.
No, it's fascinating hearing your perspective on it.
It was really lovely. And I just want to say that I am so incensed whenever people talk about how we shouldn't take people who are on the spectrum to the theater. And I have been at the theater before when my child has thrown a tantrum. And I have been at the theater before when somebody else has thrown a tantrum or been disruptive. And I really believe that we all just need to suck that right up and deal with it. Because live theater, it's one of the greatest tools we have for everything. And if you can't be inclusive in an audience in a live theater, that's on you, not on that adult or that child who receives in a way that's different than you. Take your kids to the theater. Don't be afraid of the people who, and there will be people who, if your child starts making noise, get fatoots. You know what? That's a good education for them.
Yeah.
It really is. I know it's hard. Anyway, we wanted to talk a little bit about our costumes today and our costumes in the past. We'll do a retrospective, which Samantha, how much do we love Samantha?
We love Samantha.
Samantha did a special Halloween opener for her that featured some of them, but we wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about, we started out
there was
5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
As Lucy and Ethel.
Okay, but you would never know... Because, clearly, you look at Nancy, look at how amazing she looks with that dress, that face. You did a whole makeup tutorial.
I did a whole makeup tutorial on Lucy's makeup,
which
I didn't do this year for Cher.
Incredible.
I didn't know if they had it.
But my Ethel, I look like George Washington in drag.
You always say that, but I think you were
It's
great
horrifying. But it doesn't look like Ethel.
But we had the most fun.
But it was the first time that I realized, you said, let's dress up for Halloween. And I was like, okay. And we said, let's be Lucy and Ethel. And, I was phoning it in, and Nancy was not. And I was like, oh, this woman's serious.
Well, you stepped up your game the following year.
Okay, so let's take a look. The next year,
we
were the queens.
We were the queens. The Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Elizabeth II, the current queen. And Shannon, you really stepped up your game on it.
But I learned, you taught me the value of a prop. You said to me, you've got to have the dog.
A purse and a corgi.
You've got to have a corgi. And I didn't even know what a corgi was. You brought me the purse. And the corgi. The corgi.
Queen Elizabeth
took me
has corgis.
Yes, I want a corgi now.
And didn't your husband make the corgi?
No, I made the corgi.
You made the corgi.
And I made the dress and the sash too.
Okay.
I was sewing like a crazy person that week. But no, I got a stuffed German Shepherd at a garage sale like the month before.
Right.
And I cut off his legs and sewed the paws back on so that he would be short. And I painted it all and changed the nose.
Talk about going all out.
I did, because I knew I had to step up to keep up with you. Because she's like, can we show that picture again? Because she's in full-on period costume, folks. I sewed that dress and the thing. But look at Nancy. Nancy goes and gets the real deal. Like, I think that dress that you were wearing of Lucy's, that Lucy actually wore. So here we are with the queens. And then the next year, you notice there's a theme here. We're always divas who are at the top of their game.
Yes, we are, aren't we?
So the next year, we decided that we would be Martha Stewart.
I am Martha, obviously, in my jailbird costume with Chanel shoes and pearls on.
And I'm Julia Child. And you can't see because your hand is covering there. I will say that I feel like costume-wise, I even got a photocopy of the patch that she wore on her thing. I did research. But you were disappointed in me that year because I did not dye my hair.
That's the
because
only reason
I just
why.
didn't want to dye my hair, and there are no brown wigs. And so I was like, look, she's just going to be gray haired.
But you did very well. You
And
really
I-
channeled her.
And well,
With the voice and
you know,
everything.
I tried. I'm always about the accent, but I'm not. You can see wigs are not my forte. I don't do well with wigs. They don't
This
look right
wig's
on my
great.
head. My head is too big. But then the next year we decided to wig it out. Last year,
Last year we did
but you look great in
Rosie
wigs.
and Ellen.
yeah. And I didn't get a chance to talk about that when we met Rosie. This year I didn't get
that
a
you
chance to
played
say
her?
she watches the show. So Rosie, if you're watching, last year I was you, and the
I was
accent
Ellen.
was really the thing. But I didn't look good in the wig because I think most people have a much higher forehead. I have hair that comes down practically to my eyeballs.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to wear the wig in the right place, and so it always looks wonkinator. A lot like
Well, this is always so fun, Halloween.
It is fun.
I love the dressing up.
And it's amazing to look at you on camera. Look at you. You just look fabulous. In any case.
And you are a fabulous Adele.
Well, I think I'm just going to start telling people I'm Rebel Wilson's grandmother.
No, I don't think so.
Because that's really what I look like. Hello.
And if ever you have suggestions for us for costumes,
Yes.
just write them in.
Yeah, last year we took a lot of suggestions. People,
Yes.
In fact, somebody who wrote in and said that we should be Rosie and Ellen. That's where
Yes,
we got that.
that's
was,
right.
It was from a viewer. So, but yeah, let us know what you think. What we always do after the show, the Halloween show, is that we tour the offices here at Card and go take pictures with
Right.
people. And so hopefully we'll share some of
Make fools of ourselves.
I
all
said
over the
share
building.
some of those. Share. In any case. So I was looking to see what you guys had written, and I wasn't scrolling down fast enough. I even went to the trouble
I
to
can't
put
believe
on
that. And the nails look
press-on-
beautiful, by the
They're
way.
press-on nails.
Well, are they?
They're press-on.
They look beautiful.
But I can't do anything. I used to do, and I even had Viri. Is it there? I had her do the tattoo.
She has a tattoo that says Paradise
on her hand, right there. And so I had Viri write it on my hand.
I wonder what the significance of that is, that tattoo.
There's a bunch of
Paradise.
women who have paradise written on their hand.
Really?
I think
Why
it's
is
that
that?
paradise is at hand.
Oh, Paradise is at hand.
I think that's what the
That
what
makes
the thing
sense,
is.
yes.
Right? Because it is.
Yes.
It always is, which is what Kevin probably saves the world has
Right.
taught me and reminded
And I don't
me.
even know whether Cher has tattoos. I'm assuming she does, but I didn't look it up.
That would be an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Like I would think she would either be somebody who is heavily tatted or is like
Right.
totally opposed to
Right.
them. Could be. All right. We have a lot of people who have written in questions, but they are questions of a serious nature.
Serious, okay.
But I'm just scrolling through. There's a lot of questions. A lot of questions. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. How much time do we have?
Not much at all.
I again have lost my IFB somewhere in the
we've
wig.
got
It is
about
somewhere behind.
2 minutes.
You'll have to
a minute.
talk loud, Samantha. I can't hear you. But I will say that Mike Hipple says that he loves the costumes. And somebody else is looking forward to a social skills group for a 9-year-old boy, an affordable program. If you're close to a CARD office, I just want to let you know that the CARD offices now are certified to be able to do the peers program. You did the peers program.
Wyatt did it.
And a 9-year-old could do the peers program, couldn't they? Yeah. So, and the great
I
thing
think
about,
so.
I think so too. And it's very affordable.
Yeah.
I think your insurance generally will cover it, and if not, it's very affordable. And if you can't, have no shame if the very affordable is not affordable for you, apply for a grant from Act Today. But the nice thing about the peers program that I think is the nice thing is that the kids go to a class at the same time that a parent goes to the class, and you're both given assignments that kind of go together.
Right.
I know that's a drag because none of us really wants to take a class in
Right.
social skills, but we all
The
want our
parents
kids
have
to
to
be
do it
better.
too.
And the truth is that we have to be able to support whatever
Yes.
it is that they're doing. So in any case, all right, I'm going to deal with some of these questions tomorrow.
Okay.
Can't really hear Samantha because my wig is
I think
talking
we're
to
out
me.
of time.
We're out of time. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to be back tomorrow. As I said, Joanne Laura is going to be here. We also have Kara Kaczynski, the Pocket OT, is going to be with us. That's going to be fun. And of course, Bonnie Yates is going to give us some information about special needs and the classroom, right? So until then, give your
Until
kiddos
then,
a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me. Happy Halloween.
Bye-bye.